Hello, everyone. My name is Jan Schneider, and I am the present Aley coordinator for the Interfaith Hospitality Network, one of our outreach ministries at Aley Church. I would like to give you some history of the IHN at Aley. In March of 1990, my daughter-in-law was in charge of the Call to Prayer and Self-Denial program for our United Methodist Women. I suggested that we check with the district office to see if there might be something available to enhance that program. They had a video available about this ministry to homeless families called Interfaith Hospitality Network that was very new in the greater Dayton area. The emphasis of this organization was to help families experiencing homelessness achieve sustainable independence through a community-based response. We showed the video at our meeting, and the ladies immediately believed it was something Aley could get on board with. Question was, who would be in charge? At that time, I was chairperson of what was then called Church and Society, now Serving Ministries. So I said I would look into the possibility of Aley's taking on this ministry. As the year progressed, we accomplished the necessary preliminary actions, and in October, the Church Council approved Aley's taking on this outreach ministry. In January of 1991, we took it to the congregation. We had been told we needed at least 40 family units support to get started. 75 family units signed up. At that time, hosting was done in the churches. Cots were moved from church to church, and the guests were transported back and forth from a day center in Dayton. Aley started hosting on April 24, 1991. Guests came on Sunday early evening, making the classrooms upstairs, 4 families at that time, their bedrooms. They were transported back and forth each morning and evening. The following Sunday morning, they packed up to move to another church. We provided food for evening meals, breakfasts, and lunch fixings. Volunteers also stayed with them overnight. We were with the Greater Dayton IHN until mid to late 1994, when they closed due to lack of funds and less guests. When this happened, some of the Greene County churches who were hosting investigated the need in our county and decided to open a network in Greene County. We were able to move quickly with necessary legal matters and hiring a director, and we opened the Greene County Network in early January of 1995. The day center was now in Xenia. My husband, Don, was drafted to be president of the board, and I continued as Aley's coordinator. In late 2002, the owners of Montgomery Insurance and Investments in Xenia offered an old hotel next door to them on South Detroit Street to IHN. Don resigned as board president, retired for the second time from a paying job, recruited Don Sela, also an Aley member, as chief engineer, and they proceeded to rehab the hotel. The process took almost 8 years, being done strictly by volunteers, except for what had to be done by professionals. Over 30,000 hours of labor by over 1,050 volunteers, representing over 80 organizations, were put into the remodeling. Pretty impressive. So, starting in June of 2010, guests are now housed at a static site in Xenia, and the hosts go to the guests rather than the guests going to the host churches. I should explain why the building is called the Schneider House. Toward the end of the renovation process, the IHN board, which Don was on, and the move-in committee, which I was on, were told to come up with names for the building. However, as time got closer, there was no more mention of the building's name. So, on the day of the dedication in August, the announcement was made that it would be the Schneider House, which came as an absolute shock to Don and myself. The very night before the dedication, I had read an article about a shelter being named the House of Hope, and I told Don that is what the building should be called, and he agreed. So, at the next board meeting, Don made that request, and the board agreed to the building being the Schneider House of Hope. Hope is what we want to give our guests. The Schneider House of Hope can house up to 25 guests and is full most of the time. About 75% are able to get into permanent housing. The shelter has a staff consisting of a full-time director and case manager, plus some other part-time staffers. Storage and space for classes and meetings had always been a problem. Well, in the summer of 2015, another building about 2 blocks west on 2nd Street was donated by 2 doctors who were retiring. So now, IHN has the Desai Annex, which the 2 Dons plus volunteers have remodeled and is being used for meetings, classes, counseling, and storage. Aley presently hosts 1 week every other month with the help of 2 yoking churches, St. Luke's Catholic and the Beaver Creek and Xenia wards of the Latter-day Saints Church. Hosting means providing food for the evening meal and serving it when possible. Some general food items for breakfasts and lunches are also provided. Overnight hosts are no longer required as a grant is providing funds to pay someone to stay overnight. We have a variety of opportunities for volunteer involvement. Help is needed to provide meals, interact with the children, tutoring, provide job skills training, and more. For more information, please call 937-372-0705. Lastly, the Greene County IHN has been an affiliate of a national organization all these years. This organization has changed its name to Family Promise in recent years, so Greene County is also going to change its name to Family Promise as well. The shelter will continue to operate as the Schneider House of Hope with the same mission of serving at-risk families, just under the auspices of Family Promise. In closing, I would like to share with you a poem written by one of our former guests. The title is Enter Faith. Do not pity me for my circumstance. I know the Lord will provide. Do not worry about the tears I shed. He held me when I cried. Do not fear the path that I walk, for the Lord has led the way. Do not mourn the life that I had. I am grateful for the blessings of today. Do not hate those that turned their backs on me. I'm grateful for those who have been kind. Do not get angered by my luck or fate. My faith gives me a peace of mind. Do not despair over things I cannot change. These events will not take my dreams from me. Do not envision the things that I'm lacking, when a world full of life and love is what I see. The kindness of just one soul can preserve the dignity of countless others.